All right, here we go. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Rebel. Welcome to episode number 8 of the Jeet Kune Dialogue. I am getting ready here to talk with Peter and Nguyen of Legacy Jeet Kune. It's right on the hour at 1 o'clock, and he's on the West Coast, and I'm over here on the East Coast. So once we go live, I'll wait for him to check in with me, and then we will get ourselves started. So in the meantime, let me just make sure that I didn't mess up on the appointment here, because I've got 2 more interviews to do today. So we'll wait and see what happens here. Hey Eric, how you doing? Just waiting for Sifu and Nguyen to get on to the broadcast, and we will get ourselves started. Thanks for joining in, Eric. So this will definitely be one of those videos which I end up having to take off the live. Hey Chip, what's happening? I'll have to take this off the live feed, edit it out, and then put it back up on the on the Facebook page. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm just waiting on Sifu Peter to get here, and then we'll crank this up. So excuse me while I pretty myself up. I hope I didn't mess this up as far as times and what have you, but I'm pretty sure that Sifu Peter and I decided on 1 o'clock Eastern time, so he must have been delayed a little bit or something. Thank you, Eric. That's very nice of you to say. I appreciate that. What didn't help, Chip? Oh, the prettying up. Oh, well, everybody can't be as gorgeous as you are, Chip. All right, so let's... Victor, thanks a lot for the kind words. I appreciate that. Okay, so... I've got a message from Sifu Peter, but okay guys, hang with me for a second. If this doesn't work, I might have to stop this, set it up again, and then send the invite back out to Sifu Peter. Okay, guys. So we'll just give him a couple minutes. The best control. I'm gonna give him some grief about being a millennial and okay, here we go. Let's see here.
Sorry about that. That technical snafu. I haven't done the Facebook Live thing before, so.
Matt, I thought you're the millennial out of the two of us. I thought you had all this technology under control.
Well, if you're calling me a millennial, that means that the Asian discount is working. Thank you, sir.
Well, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm keeping very busy, trying to balance martial arts and career and personal life and travel, and so I'm keeping busy, but by design.
Okay, well, yeah. So let me just do the official opening, and then we'll get straight to that. So, hello everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel. Welcome to episode number 8 of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues. And we are with Peter Nguyen of Legacy Jeet Kune Do, right? How did I do with that surname pronunciation?
I'll give you a B-, but an A for effort. It's actually a tricky name to pronounce. So the best English pronunciation of the name is Nguyen.
Nguyen.
Yes.
Okay. Sifu Peter Nguyen of
Thank
Legacy
you.
Jeet Kune Do. All right. So Legacy Jeet Kune Do is in Beverly Hills, right?
Well, yeah. So we're based in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have active groups in Houston, Seattle, and Las Vegas.
Okay. All right. So this is what I know about Beverly Hills. Rodeo Drive. That's it. I'm done.
Well, yeah. Although, yeah. So technically, the address is in Beverly Hills, but really, it's Los Angeles, and I know you've been to Los Angeles many times.
Yeah.
It's cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
It's diverse, and it's also one of the 3, shall we say, birthplaces of Jeet Kune Do, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And when I reached out to you, here's what was instantly impressive. When I asked you if you'd do the dialogue show with me, you never said, "Oh yeah, can you send me a list of questions?" You never said that. So what that told me is that you were quite comfortable dealing with the situation as it presents itself.
That is correct. And to be honest with you, I'm a thinking person. I'm an intellectual person. I have a law degree from UCLA, and so I've approached the art as a thinking person would, which
Mm-hmm.
means that even when I'm not doing physical reps, I'm doing mental reps.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not that I'm cocky. It just means that I spend so much time contemplating a JKD that I think I can have a free-flowing and meaningful and deep discussion about it.
Right. Yeah. So is Jeet Kune Do a full-time gig?
For me, it is not full-time.
Okay.
I'm an attorney by training, and so I've invested quite a bit to establish that type of career,
Mm-hmm.
and because of that, I continue to be kind of engaged in that world as a working professional. But I teach weekly 1 class, and then I also travel pretty extensively for seminars. So, even in this past year, I've taught in Italy near Rome. I've taught in Paris.
Right.
And then, later this year, I have seminars here in the United States, in Houston, in Seattle, in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
In the past, I've been in Germany. I've been in
Bulgaria.
UK, and I've been in Bulgaria. That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's very cool. That's quite impressive. Now the other thing that's impressive in your bio, it says that you are certified under Dan Inosanto, Yuri Nakamura, and Ron Balicki.
That's correct.
Okay, you got to give me the chronology of that.
So, and I would be happy to. And I want to say, first of all, that I feel that it's a unique honor to have those 3 certifications, because I think most people in the JKD world would agree that those are very high quality certifications by
Oh, for
3,
sure.
by 3 individuals who are amazing world-class martial artists, but also great teachers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a teacher, I didn't just absorb techniques and terminology. I absorbed an approach to communicating, demonstrating, transferring, and embodying the art from all 3 of these individuals.
Yeah.
So my first certification was actually from Sifu Dan Inosanto. I trained at the Inosanto Academy basically fanatically for 7 straight years. Because the course schedule at the Inosanto Academy is one of the most robust in the country, if not in the world. If you wanted to, you could take, 20, 25 classes a week at just that one academy. Well, I was pretty fanatic, so I ended up averaging at about 17 classes a week, right? Across many arts, but my focus and my passion was the Junfan JKD. And so I actually obtained instructorship at that time in the shortest amount of time possible under Sifu Dan, which was 5 years. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So I received my certification from Sifu Dan in 2003.
Okay.
Subsequent to that, Sifu Yori Nakamura, who actually a lot of people may not know this, but for a long time, he actually taught the majority of the Junfan JKD classes at the Inosanto Academy.
That's true. Yes.
He taught 4 Junfan 1 classes. Mm-hmm. The only Junfan 2 class, which is important because it served as a bridge between the beginning curriculum and getting you to Sifu Dan's advanced/instructor class, right?
Exactly.
And that was actually my favorite of all the Junfan classes, was the Junfan 2. And we can talk about why that is, but it was just amazing. It was electrical. But because during my residency at the Inosanto Academy, I took so much instruction from Sifu Yori, not just in Junfan, but in shoot wrestling as well. Mm-hmm. I earned my student instructor certification in shoot wrestling under him first, actually.
Okay.
And then he later said to me, out of all my years at the Inosanto Academy, nobody else has trained as much under me in the JKD as you have. Yeah. In fact, he said, during your 7 years, I can't remember when you missed a class, right? And so he said, I'm going to do something very unusual, very special, which is I'm going to personally give you a certification, which I've never done for anyone outside of Japan.
That was my assumption. So I was going to ask you that, because I had never heard of him doing that for anyone outside of
That's correct. And so it is a unique and singular honor that humbles me to this day.
Well, you are the man.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And it's interesting because if you go to my Instagram or my Facebook, I've posted my certifications. Mm-hmm. The one from Sifu Yori is super cool and super unique because it's signed by him, but it's co-signed by Dan Inosanto.
Exactly.
So I have the 2 signatures on the one certification.
That's the same thing that I did for my Unified Martial Art Academy instructor.
Right.
The same thing, because it's important to show and maintain that connection.
Right. Exactly.
But see, that tells me why your association is called Legacy.
Yes. Yeah. That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
I pay homage to the unique, proud, and honorable legacy of which I am a part. Right. And I always give credit to the instructors who taught and inspired me, and I hope in some way, but in my own way. I'm not trying to mimic my instructors, but I aspire to be as effective, as inspirational as them.
Yeah.
In what I do. And also, I do something, to be honest with you, that is unique in the Inosanto family tree, which is that when I go out and teach a seminar,
Yeah.
I it is, in general, sometimes they'll ask me to mix in a little bit, but in general, if I teach a 2-day seminar, it's 2 days of Junfanji Kundo.
Right.
And it's unique because most instructors in the Sifudan, including me, we have cross-trained. We're actually certified in multiple arts.
Mm-hmm.
But I've kind of made it my mission to propagate and preserve and spread the Junfanji Kundo, because I believe that if it's not done now and by legitimate instructors, it will become an endangered art.
Yes. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And to be honest, I have seen signs of its potential for disappearance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Right. And if you think about it, let's talk about some of the other arts that are part of our extended family tree, right? Let's talk about Filipino martial arts. Well, I love Filipino martial arts, but it's not going away. Why? There's a whole country on this earth that practices and propagates Filipino martial arts.
Yes.
Okay. Thai boxing. Well, Thai boxing is great. I've done a lot of Thai boxing. I love it. I incorporate concepts from Thai boxing. It's not going away. There's a whole country where Thai boxing is the national sport, okay? And Thai boxing is also, for a lot of mixed martial artists, the stand-up style of choice, okay? So it's not going away, right? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's not going away. There's a whole country after which it's named. It's definitely not going away, right? But let me ask you this. Where's the natural home of JKD?
Yeah.
It's not really associated with a nation or a culture or a people.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So really, we're kind of a small family or tribe that has been uniquely endowed with this, I think, amazing approach to unarmed combat that is valid even to the present day, and I think will continue to be valid. But if we don't take some real affirmative steps to preserve it and grow it at the same time, but you have to do both.
Yes.
I think it is going to disappear as we know it.
I'm 100% there with you. I recently said that Jeet Kune Do is not an art that will continue to evolve by itself. It is practitioners, the students and the instructors of the art who have to take care and make sure that it continues to evolve. All right?
Absolutely.
Now, so you talked about the homes of Jeet Kune Do. So Seattle, Oakland, Los Angeles. So let's talk about Los Angeles for a second.
Sure.
Just on a lark, in preparation for doing this dialogue with you, I did a Google search, and I think the search term was Jeet Kune Do in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's pages upon pages upon pages, right?
Yeah.
Because there are all these factions of the different lineages, right?
Yes.
So you're out there in the middle of it. Is there communication between the different lineages, or is everybody doing their own thing, even though we're all doing something connected?
That's a really good question, and I think the answer is that both are occurring.
Okay.
But one is occurring much more than the other.
Okay.
So let me clarify.
Yeah.
I think that for the most part, the communication among the different lineages is actually not good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning we're not coordinated, we're not cooperative, we're not exchanging, we're not mutually benefiting one another, I think, as we should. Okay. But there are some individuals who are trying to maintain the ties, the extended family ties, who are trying to bridge those gaps. I consider myself to be one of those people, but if I were to be honest, with only limited success. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of my really good friends, who's actually going to be a guest instructor at my JKD conference in Seattle, is a teacher by the name of Russell Leak. He runs Underdog Mixed Martial Arts in Hartford, Connecticut. I actually taught at his academy for a couple years. He also has several fighters in the UFC.
Okay.
And the striking that they use, and maybe we'll have time to get to this later, is JKD striking. But it's not advertised as such.
Right.
It's never mentioned when they're in the octagon. But
right.
His fighters, who have been very successful, okay, use JKD striking, okay? He's under Sifu Richard Basilio's line, okay? And we've done some really amazing exchange where he said, hey, you know, in my lineage, there wasn't emphasis on the trapping, okay? It was just a personal preference, let's say, of you know, Sifu Richard, right? And you know, I don't, you know, I'm not here to make judgments, right? But in that case, he said, you know, that's a point where I'd like to exchange, and it looks to me like that's one of your areas of strength. You know, I really want to exchange the trapping, the sensitivity, the sticky hands, and so that was kind of a point of connection. I've learned a lot by watching how he teaches his very combative striking and how he prepares fighters to apply JKD principles, but in a sport ring environment. And I really respect the way he does it. And I've grown because of my exposure to his application of JKD in a realm that I just don't apply it in that realm. Okay. Yes. And so that's an amazing exchange. And I value it very much. And I think there can be many such exchanges, but we're tribalized. Okay. Yeah. This is the problem, is for marketing purposes, for commercial purposes, everyone feels the need to say, my JKD is the best. Mm-hmm. My instructor was really the true legitimate instructor. Okay. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think the truth is collective among all of us. Yeah. You know, instead of just aggregating it like that. Yes. I think that's anti-JKD, by the way. You know, we would evolve and develop much faster and in a much more meaningful way if we were exchanging and sharing versus being segregated. Okay.
We started talking about your certifications, and then we just went off on a tangent, and we about Sifu Ron Balicki.
Yes. So Sifu Ron certification was the third certification that I received. I'm very proud to be part of his organization, which is called MARS, or Martial Arts Research Group. And it is because I think he also really embodies not just the practical and the combative aspect of the arts, but as a person, he's one of the most genuine people I've ever met or talked to. You know, anyone who's met him, you know, you're getting the real deal. He doesn't sugarcoat at all, which sometimes can actually be disconcerting if you've never if you're new to him, right? But I find it very refreshing. He's a very principled person, and he and Diana Inosanto, his wife, are two people who I consider kind of glue people within the JKD community. Okay, because they keep the bridges between kind of, you know, the Inosanto folks and you know, Linda and Shannon Lee and the Bruce Lee Foundation going. You know, I think that's really important. And so you know, I was really honored to kind of be embraced by Sifu Ron and Diana Inosanto, and really contribute as a practitioner in their organization. And then I was honored to be certified by him 3 years ago.
So again, going back to when we started talking, you used the word communication.
Yes.
I remember I first met Sifu Ron 30 years ago, August of 1988. And so I've watched him over the years, and I think that he has become an incredible communicator.
Absolutely.
And it shows in like his video series for Century, right? It
Yes.
shows in there. So I want to ask you now, because you obviously are an excellent communicator also. So I want to ask you, when it comes to communication skills, what did you get from Sifu Dan? What did you get from Sifu Yuri? And what did you get from Sifu Ron?
That's an excellent question. So from Sifu Dan, I actually learned that sometimes less is more.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, he is one of those people who will never be guilty of over coaching you. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
He believes that the best feedback that you can get is feedback that you realize on your own,
yes,
through experience and with guidance, but not being dictated to you by your Sifu.
Right.
Right.
Being the pointer to the truth instead of the giver of the truth, right?
Absolutely. And the ironic thing is, I truly believe this. Today, on this planet, he's the most knowledgeable martial artist alive. Okay, and for someone with that much experience, skill, wisdom, and knowledge to be able to resist the temptation of saying, "I'm a genius. Just do what I do, and you'll be great."
You'll be
right,
fine.
right. I mean, honestly, that would be a shortcut for him. And frankly, because he is such a genius, people who follow that formula would end up being great martial artists, right?
Yeah.
But he's not trying to create clones. This is the amazing thing about him, is that he truly embraces, I think, almost more than anyone I've seen, the idea of, and this is almost a quote from him, that what you research and develop yourself is as important as what you are taught. This is what
yes.
he said to me.
Yes.
Okay. And so he lives that philosophy, right? Now I will say this: it doesn't mean that all of his students and instructors under him understand and embrace that path. Some of them are just trying to carbon copy what Sifu Dan does. Because it's hard to resist that temptation when you're around someone who's that great. But I don't think that that's what he's actually trying to impart. Does that make
Not
sense?
At all. Yes.
Now that being said,
I try to pull like Bob Marley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And now that being said, it can sometimes be a little frustrating when you're training in his class or in his seminar, and he's watching you and you're reading his body language, and you ask him, "Sifu, am I doing this right?"
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And his most famous answer to that question is, "You could do it that way." So he almost refuses to say that something is right or wrong.
Yes.
To the point where it can actually frustrate you a little bit, because you're thinking, "No, but I know you have a preferred way, Sifu, but you just won't tell me what your preferred way is." Yeah. But that is how, loyal he is to that ultimate JKD philosophy.
Yes. Okay.
Right. Now, Sifu Yuri
from Sifu Yuri. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sifu Yuri, here's the thing. Here's why I just feel so fortunate, is that in some ways Sifu Yuri is on the opposite end of the spectrum as Sifu Dan.
Mm-hmm.
But not in a bad way, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
Okay. So Sifu Yuri, and this is what makes studying under him really an experience that if you've never had, you must seek it out, because he teaches with incredible precision.
Yes.
Planning.
Yes.
Technicality, right? And the funny thing is, he somehow does it while still practicing the JKD philosophy. But I think the way he does it is, he says, "Look, I'm going to impart upon you a high resolution version
Mm-hmm.
of the Jun Fan Gung Fu base.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's not your end point. Does that make sense? That is not your end point. That's your foundation. That's your starting point. But I'm going to teach it to you in a way that's so precise that your foundation will be unrivaled.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So from him, so much of my technical understanding and knowledge, including terminology, including
Yes.
progressions,
Yes.
including how including how to arc your lesson plan so that even though a student may not realize it, they are acquiring something amazing of great value over a 4-month period because you had a master plan that nobody else knew, and your students don't know it until that 4-month period is over, and you look back and you say, oh my God, that was the progression. I see it now and I'm better for it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so his technical approach, I think, is among the best.
My first experience with him, what you just talked about there, technical precision, it took me back to the years that I spent in Shotokan.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but he was infinitely more fluid than anyone in Shotokan could be. But that attention to detail, that attention to precision,
yes,
identical.
Yes. And it's hard to find someone else, as you said, who can simultaneously provide such amazing structure, but which leads to fluidity. Okay. And when you've seen him move, and I hate people who make comparisons to Cedro Bruce because it's done too often, right? But having studied under him for so many years and having been his uke and feeling his energy in so many situations, I think that when he's demonstrating or practicing the Junfan JKD, he comes extremely close, and Sifu Dan has even said this, to approximating what you might have experienced if you were blessed to have been exposed to Cedro Bruce. Sifu Dan told me, Yuri is probably my most technical student, and he basically, I think, thinks of Sifu Yuri as one of his senior instructors under him in JKD.
Yeah. Okay. Communication from Sifu Ron.
So Sifu Ron, wow. And again, I have 3 contrasting styles, from which to draw. Sifu Ron is raw, unedited, okay? In some ways unscripted, but very alive, okay? He gives you real-time feedback. His emphasis on trying to get you to functionality. Is trying to force you to test your limits and your limitations with the goal of breaking them down and exceeding them over time, right? I think he strikes a really interesting balance between Sifu Dan's style, where he is relaxed, but he does have a progression and a structure, and then he's really good with bringing in anecdotes and examples from his fighting days, from his teaching, experiences, and from all the folks he's met in the martial arts realm. He has a story that can relate to almost any situation or any demonstration, and I've seen him recall something and bring it to bear in a very applicable way. And so it's a very it's a very meaningful experience to train with him, because he gives you kind of this 360 view of the art.
Right. Yeah. See, so what you just described there is actually, I could use that as one of the reasons why I started this Jeet Kune Do dialogue program. We have such incredible talent out there not just as martial art instructors, but as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
So I determined that these are stories that have to be told. These are people that we have to get, not that they need exposure from me, but these are people that we need to get more people talking about and being able to relate to.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you know, there's a diversity there and a dynamic kind of tension, but a good tension
Mm-hmm.
when I've learned the same series, the Loida series, from all three of those instructors,
Yeah.
and I'm a better practitioner and a better teacher for it because they all had a slightly different approach to it, all valid, and I get to bring those approaches to bear and customize it for my students, because for some students, they respond to the Sifu Yori way. Okay, they embrace the technicality. You know, they like the fact that this is not the same as this, right? I mean, they like that, and I can teach to that degree of precision. Others like the philosophical 50,000-foot approach that they can integrate into their overall martial arts practice and even their daily lives. And that's the Sifu Dan approach, which is great. And then others want to take what they do and functionalize it, right? For the ring, or, you know, for sparring. Sifu Ron's approach is great for that, right? And so the fact that I have kind of mental access to that diversity is great. And we have so much of that talent and uniqueness within the JKD community.
Yeah. Another review of you that that I read was the person used the words detailed, accurate instruction. Right? So how did you come to be detailed and accurate in your approach?
I think it goes back to my schooling. You know, when you go, you know, first of all, when you have Asian parents, okay, Asian tiger parents who demand perfection from you in just about everything you do, that's kind of the cultural and family basis for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you combine that with 5 years of college, 3 years of law school, thinking with precision in my daily life, such that every word, you know, maybe every intonation makes a difference in what I do in my day job. I kind of bring that level of attentiveness and precision to my practice and teaching of JKD. So my notes, you know, I was fanatical about taking notes after every class. Sometimes it was difficult because at the Inosanto Academy, I had many nights where I took 4 classes. You know, I would take Thai boxing, Kali, Silat, and JKD. So then you'd have to go home, or go to a cafe or a Thai restaurant, which we often did, and hopefully bring a few other people with you so that you all can collectively write down what did you just learn and observe in those 4 hours of instruction, right? Well, I did that for 7 years, okay, and beyond. I mean, I've done it beyond that, but certainly for the 7 years at the Inosanto Academy. And so those were the immediate mental reps and reinforcement of what I had just physically practiced, that I think it instilled in me kind of that technical understanding of the art, and so the ability to take notes well, to have the intellectual recall, and then the ability to organize what you know. Because here's the thing: there are many martial arts teachers who know a lot, but a lot gets lost in the translation. You know, my analogy is this, right? Even when you're making a copy of something or you're scanning a document, you want a high resolution scan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you scan a document at low resolution, you've lost detail. And then if you try to communicate that or teach that to someone else and you communicate it at a low resolution, after a while it becomes a blurry page.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's not much substance left. Yeah. Um, and, and so I take pride um, in my technical approach, and it works really well to set a strong foundation, particularly for beginners. But then what happens is I have people who come from other arts.
Yeah.
I have people who who are trained in the ring, but who want to delve more deeply into the roots of an art so that they can embrace a martial arts lifestyle. Because here's the thing, there are a lot of people who um, and and we're seeing it more now because MMA has started to mature as kind of a sport. But
Yeah.
we're seeing a lot of folks who are great at the sport of MMA because they've learned just enough standing and on the ground to combine it in a combative way and have some success in the ring. But
Yes.
a lot of that is because they've gone 6 inches down, but in a large lake. Okay. But after a while, they're sometimes seeking more than that. They want to go 50 feet down, right?
Right.
Because
Yes.
after your ring career or even during your ring career, you might want a little bit more meaning to what you're doing. You might want to understand the foundation, the background, the history, and the culture of the art that you're doing, because it makes your practice of it more rewarding, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so I hope that my approach helps folks who are looking for that really solid expression of the JKD.
Well, from what I've seen and from what you've spoken about over the past 30 minutes, I think you've definitely hit a couple of nails on the head, right? And so I mean, my hat goes off to you for being able to bridge that gap between the a lot of times we talk about the practical side or the functional side of Jeet Kune Do, and then we talk about the philosophical side. But I think what you bring to it is the intellectual side, and I think that sometimes that's an aspect of Jeet Kune Do that goes relatively unregarded or even disregarded, right?
Which is, yes, I totally agree with you. And I think that that's ironic because I think that JKD is actually a thinking person's art.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for people to try to approach it without kind of trying to master the philosophical underpinnings of it, I think they're missing actually the most meaningful part of the art.
Yes. Okay. All right. So I appreciate your taking the time to spend with me. So I want to end this on a let's call it a more trivial note. So
okay.
Most favorite thing about living in Los Angeles?
Okay. Well, it sounds obvious, but I would say the weather. But I'll add a little bit more context to it, right? Because why is the weather so important? I think it's because when you have year-round good weather, I think it motivates you to stay active in the sense that you really don't have an excuse not to be active. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
But I also think that when you're out and about, 52 weeks a year, and you're interacting with people in a very diverse environment, it creates kind of this open-mindedness, okay? Because you're not sheltered in your own private space for 4 months out of the year when it's winter and cold, right?
Yeah.
So I just think that there's much less excuse not to interact and to exchange and to trade knowledge, and I think a lot of that happens in LA, particularly in the in the artistic and the entertainment community, where there's a lot of collaboration in the fitness community certainly, but I'm hoping that the JKD community can get to that point as well.
Right. Okay. Now the opposite end of the spectrum. Least favorite thing about Los Angeles?
I think LA is an overall great place. I think that the one thing that concerns me is the cost of living, because I think that it's important, if you want diversity and you want that melting pot, for people to be able to share the same space, and not to be segregated by socioeconomics or by race.
Yeah.
And I think that while LA is very diverse, I think it's in danger of becoming segregated, just because of the cost of living, and that applies to a lot of California in general. But certainly LA is not exempt from that.
So if you could live anywhere else, where would it be?
Well, actually, I'm actually splitting my time between LA and Seattle. And in fact, what you see in the background is Seattle. You can see the Space Needle in the back, I think. I really like Seattle. I really, as far as American cities, it's pretty much Seattle, New York City, San Francisco, and LA. I like the diverse cosmopolitan cities.
Yeah.
However, internationally, I have to say, I love Hong Kong, I love Paris, I love Milan, and I think, that's one of the great things about being able to teach martial arts, both nationally and internationally, is the exposure I've had to different experiences, different cultures, and there's a cultural take on JKD that comes because of things like language, because of things like certain cultural perspectives and tradition. So my understanding of JKD has expanded by going and really exchanging with folks elsewhere who are embracing the same philosophy, but who have a unique expression of it.
Yes. Okay. All right. Listen, man, thank you so much for doing this.
It's my pleasure.
I had a great time. I really appreciate this. We got to stay in touch. We got to do this again sometime.
I very much look forward to it, and it was an honor, and I thank you for having me as your guest.
Okay. All right, everyone. That's Sifu Peter Nguyen of Legacy Jeet Kune Do. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing off. See you next time. Take care.
Take care.